Shalom and welcome to Seekers of Meaning, the podcast TV arm of Jewish Sacred Aging. I'm your host, Rabbi Richard Address. Thank you very, very much for joining us. As you know, these podcasts are designed to explore aspects of the revolution that is taking place in longevity, not only in this country, but especially within the American Jewish community. If you'd like to make a comment, by the way, please feel free to email me at rabbiaddress@jewishsacredaging.com and check out the Jewish Sacred Aging Facebook page as well. There are many organizations that work with groups and individuals around this country and in many cases the world that deal with this longevity revolution. One of the most important ones is the American Society on Aging, and we are very, very pleased and honored to welcome to today's edition of Seekers of Meaning, Jen Rivera, the Vice President of Membership and Program and Thought Leadership for the American Society on Aging. Jen, thank you very, very much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Okay, it's great to see you. And full disclosure, Jewish Sacred Aging, me and myself, we're a member of the American Society on Aging. It is a huge umbrella organization covering a multitude of issues. But talk to me about a little bit, just for the sake of there may be one or two people who hear this who may not be familiar with the ASA. Tell me, what is the American Society on Aging? What is the major goal of this organization?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that question. So in the simplest form, ASA brings together a diverse community of professionals working in aging in America, and we have become the go-to source for cultivating leadership, advancing knowledge, and strengthening the skills of our members and others who work with and on behalf of older adults. Our members have access to webinars, toolkits, podcasts, a virtual forum, which is called Communities, digital publications called Generations, a journal that's quarterly, Generations Today, a bi-monthly publication, and a blog post called Generations Now. Then also our annual conference, which convenes all of our members and gives them an opportunity to connect, learn, and share with experts on thousands of professionals around the world working in aging and related fields. And our goal is really to equip our members across disciplines and industries to lead more coordinated, age-inclusive society that supports all of us having a full and fair opportunity to age well.
So the age inclusive, talk to me a little about this, because the United States of America is so broad, it's so diverse, and our experience, and I'm very interested to hear your reaction, the approach to aging and longevity in the variety of different communities is really across the board. There's really no one way, is there?
Correct. Right. Yeah. That's correct. There's no one way to age. And so, one of the things that ASA does really well is that convening of all of these disciplines and individuals who are working in aging to really bring to light the inequities, the gaps in care, the gaps in aging, and to really have conversations on that. And how do we work together, to fix those gaps and inequities, and how do we move the needle in that on the state level, on the national level. So really working with the members. Our members are our superpower. That's what makes ASA.
So is there a political arm? Do you lobby on a national level and state level for varieties of different pieces of legislation that impact aging?
So we don't lobby. We do have a public policy committee that is led by our members. We do have our policy priorities. So we have accelerating digital inclusion, tackling ageism, advancing health equity, fighting climate change are our policy priorities.
So let me ask you a question. This has come up a couple of times, and we've done one or two podcasts on this, and that is the impact right now of technology on my generation and the people coming up. The support of caregiving with the robotics, artificial intelligence. How is ASA beginning to look at this growing phenomenon?
Yeah, so we have been doing that through our conference, specifically at On Aging 24. We had an on tech programming, which really talked about, tech and aging. And so we're doing that same thing again at On Aging 25 and really expanding that conversation. So yes, that is one of the ways that we're doing that. We also have our On Aging Institute, which is a place where you can continuously learn. And so there are, tech opportunities that we will start unveiling in regards to webcasts and conversations on, the state of technology and aging. But really, the power is getting our members in front of those technology conversations, right? At the early stages in the development. Also, in regards to the multi-sector plan on aging, those conversations, how does technology involve in those plans? And so we really want to elevate our members' voice when it comes to technology.
The membership aspect. Suppose somebody's sitting here, well, this is an organization that I think I would really like to get some more information of. This is a membership organization, correct?
It is. Yes.
So talk to me about how I become a, quote, member of American Society on Aging. And while you're doing that, remind people of the website in case people want to look at.
Yeah. So visiting asaging.org, you can find out more about the organization and our strategic priorities and, what we're focused on. And then, we have a membership section that you can use to join. And we do have, a professional level, which is $275. And then we also have a student. So we go all the way to students and those that are retired. And that is at a reduced rate of $100. And so it is an annual membership that does include, access to various webinars, which include CEs. And then in the development of our On Aging Institute, we'll have, just this expansive library of education that will come, here soon. You will have access to that and discounted rates to, our conferences and, different education opportunities, as well as our Generations publication, which has a wealth of, articles and subject matter expertise within those articles and within the journal as well.
So the number of older adults in the United States is growing.
Correct.
Within our community, within the Jewish community, we're aging faster than the American community. The nature of it is changing, as you well know, because that's part of your portfolio. We've had people on podcasts before, and I run into them when I go out and do workshops for our work, about the cohorts are growing, but what is not are people, young men and women in medical school, going into geriatrics, despite the growth of the population. Is ASA doing anything to try to encourage young men and women to talk about geriatrics as a profession in medical school?
And so some of the conversations that we're having right now is right in line with that. So working with different associations and their endeavors to, grow, students entering the geriatrics practice. So it's really compounded on the relationships that we're forming and through the access of, what our members currently are, having those conversations on. But yes, we are focused on that. It is one element to increase, that access.
Why do you think that? Because I've heard a couple of opinions from geriatricians. Why do you think there's not enough people going into this, given the fact that the population is exploding? Do you have a sense of that, or?
I think my team would. Me not being a subject matter expert in this, I don't have, the right words to say the reason why or that background. But I know, it is something that is needed, and, we're wanting to get in front of those conversations and ask the why and what we can do as an organization, to make that opportunity more visible. Some of it potentially could be funding. and just really the visibility of that option for people to enter into. But me not being, a subject matter expert, I don't want to, allude to anything, but, we definitely see that as a worthy conversation and really challenging, people to be in that, and just equipping those who are not in geriatrics, right? Just equipping clinicians with information on working with older adults and what that looks like.
Yeah, I would imagine that, and as things continue, I know from the people we've talked to who are dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's and the huge explosion of Alzheimer's, we've been told there's just not going to be enough professionally trained people to take care of us and the expected explosion in the numbers of dementia and Alzheimer's cases. So it's this is not in the future. This stuff is happening now, which is why, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but
you're not.
No. But I think it's important for people to know that ASA is talking about this and trying to figure ways out to enhance that. The conversation on America as an ageist society, in your perspective as a vice president and a leader in ASA, is America still an ageist society?
I think America has a lot of room to grow when it comes to ageism, right? And I think, we just recognized Ageism Awareness Day just last week. And I think there are a lot of conversations that need to take place, right? And civically in the workforce, ageism, being alive and well in the workforce, in our healthcare system, in our school systems. What does that look like? So I think for the American Society on Aging, it's just really important for us to be at the forefront of those conversations. I can't blatantly say like all of America is ageist, but there's a lot of room for us to have this conversation. And I think, we did a really great job with a lot of other partnering organizations to really, amplify, the question on ageism and what are you doing to tackle ageism, on the state level, in your school, in your community. How are you having this conversation in the media? Challenging these narratives that are being portrayed of older adults. And we want to be and will continue to be at the forefront of those conversations.
We're speaking with Jen Rivera, the Vice President of Membership, Programming, and Thought Leadership for the American Society on Aging. We're going to be right back with Jen after this message.
For 20 years, the Lubetkin Media Companies have been producing award-winning audio and video programs. We produce audio podcasts, documentaries, seminar panels, conference speaker videos, tribute videos, and family legacy videos. And of course, the Seekers of Meaning TV show and podcast for Rabbi Richard Address and JewishSacredAging.com. I'm Steve Lubetkin, and I'd love to invite you to explore the ways that we can tell your story in sound and images. Please visit our website at beingthemedia.com, where you'll see examples of our work for other clients. And if you'd like more information, please email steve@beingthemedia.com. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you out there on the net. Take good care.
Welcome back. Again, we're speaking with Jen Rivera, the Vice President of Membership, Programming, and Thought Leadership for the American Society on Aging. I got to ask you, what's thought leadership?
Yeah, so thought leadership really is sharing expertise and original ideas to influence conversation and shape stories. And so, that's really where thought leadership plays a role in ASA. And so we rely on, that expertise, not only from our staff, but our members. We know that, with over 5,000 members, we've got a wealth of expertise in different areas. That's what really makes ASA so unique, is that, it's not focused on just one discipline. We're multidisciplinary. And so, we've just got many areas of expertise within our membership.
So last month, we did had this podcast with a young elder care attorney whose expertise was dealing with scams, focusing on older adults. Her statistics were mind-blowing, to tell you the truth. Talk to me about how American Society on Aging is really working to highlight, educate, inform, which evidently this continually growing phenomenon of scams of a variety of different nature being perpetrated on older adults.
Yeah. So we've worked with Edward Jones, and we've had a Beyond Generations podcast, which, provides education on these various topics. We've definitely had, different webinars to highlight, these concerns and solutions that they can provide, that, our members can provide, to the individuals that they're working with, and, bring different policies and just make people aware of these potential scams. So that's definitely, and we've, highlighted several articles within our Generations publication that really, put an emphasis on these issues that, keep coming up.
Yeah, the Generations, for those of you who join or met, it's a very, very interesting publication. A lot of times it's themed around a specific issue.
Right.
But really high quality, good stuff and good resources for education, follow-up, etc. Jen, one of the organizations that we're involved with here in New Jersey is called Goals Repair New Jersey. And in one of these meetings, I guess a couple of years ago, we were made aware of the menu of so many languages and cultures that a doctor, a nurse, somebody dealing with individuals, older adults, chaplains, clergy, have to deal with. So, like you said at the beginning, ASA is a multi
disciplinary. Yeah.
Right. How do you begin in the work that you do in the articles and the teaching and the webinars? How do you begin to deal with this, just the multiplicity of cultures that walk into an ASA conversation?
Yeah. Can you expand a little bit more on that in regards to reading like the articles and translating them into different languages, or
just the different cultures have different views of aging?
Yes. Yeah.
Different cultures have different views of even the role of the physician, of when I should go to a doctor, or do I need to go to a doctor, or what it means to grow old, or the issues of, like we have in New Jersey, of medical aiding dying. It's so multifaceted under the big umbrella of the ASA. How do you begin to, on a practical programmatic level, as well as a leadership level, how do you begin to deal with all this multiplicity of approaches to just growing older?
Yeah, I think, ASA has really channeled that through our Generations publication, and using and having that thought leadership there, relying on, different partners and subject matter experts within those communities to provide that information to our audience. And so, in some ways, our Generations can be our base for, how those conversations are then taken to a podcast to provide more details. We've worked with Aging While Black, and they were, at our conference and really talked about aging while Black. And you didn't need to be Black to participate in those conversations, right? But it was the starter of, I one insight I have, I'm working with older adults that are not just all one race. And so wanting to understand that, we're also seeing, different communities impacted by aging, and funding and availability of that fund to really grow their programs. And those are conversations that we want to have, within the organization. And that's the platform of ASA, is to bring these issues to the forefront so we can talk about them, figure out, what those next steps are, but also provide in some ways some validity on aging isn't just linear, right? Like, aging looks different for different communities. And that's what we want to show, to those who are working, with older adults, those that are older adults, some validity in that your experience is going to look different than others. And here are the resources to really help you navigate those things. We see disparities in health equity, right? And so that looks different for different communities. And we work with partners to bring that to light and to have those conversations on the disparities there and how we can work together, to change policies. We recently had a Hill Day last year. And so just really bringing to light, those inequities.
How do you begin to deal with this on the ASA level? And I know there's state organizations, et cetera, on the disparity of healthcare access that exists in this country with various communities, which is a fact. I mean, there's no getting around it. There are certain communities who have a greater ability to access quality healthcare. They're not going to sit in the emergency room for 4 hours. They're going to pick up the phone and call somebody who's going to get them in to see that doctor tomorrow. How do you begin to deal with that? And because it seems to be growing, that inequity seems to be growing rather than shrinking.
One of the things we have, our equity strategy director, Dr. Patrice Dickerson, who is, leading a lot of this effort. But again, just going back to our members and our members being our superpower, we do have, different advisory councils within the organization that are bringing that to light, bringing those issues, and they're all over, from all over the nation. And so, our health and well-being advisory council, they are pursuing, health equity for older adults and their caregivers through access, education, systemic change and advocacy. And so that group of members, that's what they're looking at. And so they're bringing to the attention of ASA. And so that then gets translated into, a Generations article or Generations blog post or a webcast, or even, really featured at our conference, like having those in-person conversations. So our members are really driving, that those questions, what we need to be looking at as an organization, and who we need to be partnering with on, amplifying, these issues.
So once again, the website, if somebody wanted to get a look at ASA, what's the website to go to?
Yes, please visit asaging.org.
asaging.org.
Yeah, asaging.org.
And talk to me real fast, because the conferences, having been to some of these conferences pre-pandemic, they're back in person, right?
They are, yes. And so we've been back in person, for a little while now. But, just last year's conference was sold out. Which was extremely exciting to have, so many people on board and invested, in ASA. And we're really excited to, host our 2025 conference in Orlando. So we're very excited. And that will take place April 21st through the 24th.
With the mouse or without the mouse?
Probably, it could be a blend of both, Some people will, see the mouse and some people may not. So, but the mouse is always welcome.
Yeah. And I'm sure the mouse will be there.
Yeah.
I remember when I first joined ASA, I was involved with I don't know whether you would call it a subgroup or whatever, called FORSA.
Okay. Yeah.
Forum for Religion, Spirituality, and Aging. So, as a clergy person, is that cohort still there, or has things been restructured?
It has been restructured slightly, so they do fall into our health and well-being advisory council. And then I think I had mentioned earlier, we have a platform called Communities, which is a forum that we did place FORSA in. So there's still conversations related specifically to FORSA, but yes, it has transitioned just a little bit to be under our advisory council, which I mentioned is that health and well-being. But we do have a communities section where those who are, interested in having that conversation can do so in that virtual community.
And so if I wanted to, clergy wanted, because I know a lot, that's rabbinic hyperbole. Some clergy that I know who are active in that, I lament where do you go to get that? I go to asaging.org.
Yeah, so you'll go to asaging.org and then you'll see at the very top it says communities.
Okay. In your sense, in working as the Vice President of Membership Programming and Thought Leadership, I love your take as a professional, as a person, on the role of faith and the religious communities in aging. Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's left up to each individual person, but, from a mental, health standpoint, I think it's more about equipping, those who are working with and supporting older adults, that if that is, an area where they want to explore, that they're equipped to, help or, navigate that with the individual. That's really our personal choice. But we want to ensure that, there's resources available when those choices are being decided.
What do you hope to see this organization accomplish? What do you hope to see happen with this issue of aging in the United States of America in the next, let's just say, 5 years? What are your hopes and dreams? What would you like to see as the vice president of this organization?
Yeah, I would like us, first and foremost, to really have tackled ageism. I think, that is really key, as it, feeds into so many sectors. And so, tackling it, having the conversation a lot more, challenging people and holding people accountable. Longevity, it looks different for every community, but that's because of, roadblocks that are put in place. And so I think it's really tackling ageism. And so I think, we have, and we'll continue growing our tools and resources in that. We want to be invited into those conversations, specifically on technology. And so we're making headway on that, but we want to continue partnering with other organizations to be the leader in having tackling ageism. But it's not just ASA; it's all of our members and their expertise and their loyalty to the work that we're doing, and we do that collectively. And like I said, doing that through our advisory councils who are, raising those red flags of, hey, we need to really tackle this issue, that it's not just on the state level. And even if it is, like, how do we have those conversations? How do we equip everyone? So what I would really like to see at tackling ageism is bringing more people to the fire, more people, believing in, this is the right direction. These are the next steps. And how can I help? Tackle ageism with you guys. So yeah, just bringing more people on board, forming new partnerships. That is what is going to help us tackle ageism. And it's not just ASA, it's, so many other organizations helping us.
What gives you the most joy in what you do?
It would be, and it's, I've worked in associations for over, 10, 11 years. It really is the member story. I think associations are so important. In your day-to-day work, you can feel like, you're moving the needle and then you hit this rough spot and it's like, you're so frustrated. And then associations are that opportunity for you to look up, be inspired by what other people are doing and refuel. And that's what I'm also hoping happens at our conference, is that people are able to recharge in person, be inspired by the work that's being done on other sides, share the work that you've been doing and be celebrated in that, and have conversations that you wish you could have if you had 100 people on your team. But it really is the member stories and how they're able to use the tool to move just a little bit further to accomplishing their mission.
Jen, thank you very, very much. And I wish you continued joy in your story and allowing all those other stories, those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories that you work with at ASA. So thank you very, very much, and continue, just stay healthy and continued success. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
No, our pleasure. To all of you, I want to thank you again for joining us on today's edition of Seekers of Meaning, the podcast TV arm of Jewish Sacred Aging. Again, if you'd like to make a comment or suggestion, please feel free to email me at rabbiaddress@jewishsacredaging.com. If you would like to become a sponsor of some of these podcasts, again, just drop me that email. And if you go to the website, jewishsacredaging.com, you'll see a very, very conveniently located donate button. And if you'd like to support these podcasts and our work, please just follow the prompts. Secrets of Meaning is recorded and produced at the broadcast centers of Lubeck Media Company in gorgeous Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And a big shout out to our producer, Steve Lubeck. Thank you very, very much for joining us. We appreciate your time and your interest. I'm your host, Rabbi Richard Address. And until we see each other again in our next Seekers of Meaning, take care. And most of all, be kind to one another. Shalom. Todah.